Good evening. This is LuncLiveNews with yours truly, Mr. Diamond Hands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our program. I'm your host, Mr. Diamond Hands, and this is the Diamond Seat. We have a very special guest for you this evening. We have the man himself, LuncBurnArmy of the L1 Task Force, that is in the studio with us this evening. LuncBurnArmy, how's it going?
It's going well, thanks. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. Very excited to have you with us here on LuncLiveNews, only on the LunaClassic network. We're so thankful to have you with us this evening to give us a lot of good updates. I know that you guys have been working so hard the last couple of weeks, and so I'm very excited to have you in the studio this evening to talk about all things LunaClassic. So listen, LuncBurn, tell us what the L1 Task Force has been working on the last couple of weeks.
Well, I'm sure, as everybody's been aware, we had a really good and successful upgrade on May 17th, where we upgraded the chain. We did the full chain halt upgrade. It went about, touch wood, as smooth as it could get, just from the perspective of the time it took and the experience, the user experience afterwards. And we put a lot of time and effort into that. We did extensive testing to make sure that station would work properly. I personally reached out to the vast majority of the validators to say, hey, be ready when the block height comes. Let's be prepared. So we took some of the lessons learned from the previous upgrade and applied them. And so that was, a week and a half ago now, I guess. And ever since then, we had already, prior to that, been working hard on parity. But now that's been the focus basically around the clock, has been just getting the 2.1.0 upgrade ready to go. And actually, as we speak right now, we're working on finalizing the release for tomorrow's testnet upgrade, which is a dress rehearsal of the full upgrade, which is happening on June 14th.
Man, this is so exciting. This is something that we've been pushing forward with going on now a year. I mean, this is the biggest thing that really is going to hit the LunaClassic blockchain is getting back up to parity. I mean, when you really sit down and you think about it, from the crash of May of 2022 to now, right? This is going to be like the first major milestone that the community will walk forward together with, right? So parity is very, very important. I mean, for those of you that don't know, basically right now at this given time, LunaClassic has not had the ability basically to communicate with the rest of Cosmos. There were some issues with builders coming back on the chain. But once we reach this, once it is successful and implemented on June 14th, basically LuncBurnArmy will be back open for business, will we not?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think we're starting to see folks reaching out and saying, hey, what do we need to do in order, to come over, and those are all positive signs. So it just makes it, I mean, DApp developers could have come over to the chain at any point. However, they would have had to do a lot more update to their smart contracts and just a whole lot more work. And you really don't, if you're maintaining an application yourself, you don't want to have, such different versions of the code base, and if you're on one blockchain versus the other. So this helps folks that that want to run here. It's as close to copy paste as it can be. So we hope to see a lot more transaction volume, and a lot more folks bring utility over for the community to use.
That's very exciting too, because the more builders and developers that come back to the LunaClassic blockchain, the more burning that we can do as well. Now, I know we've recently increased the on-chain burn tax from 0.2% to 0.5%, and we need a little bit of time to go forward to gauge how much is being burned, right? Being able to collect enough data to see if everything is running smoothly, if there's any issues with it, because I know right now at the given time we have certain individuals that are wanting to raise it again even more. However, me personally, I think we should probably maybe wait just a little bit just to get enough data. And I want to ask you about that. When it comes to like burn taxes, are you kind of a supporter of a large burn tax, a small burn tax, or are you somewhere in the middle? How do you feel about burn taxes?
Well, I mean, I try to let all of that kind of policy decision be made through governance, and we serve at the pleasure of the community, right? So whatever is enacted through governance, we support. Speaking as a personal investor, I mean, I'm a fan of evidence-based decision making. So I think that right now I'm personally watching volumes, and I'm seeing that things look pretty good. I'm watching to see what the reaction of DApp owners are going to be, and as well as see what the deflationary rate of the token looks like. And then moving forward, I mean, I think that we keep an eye on all of those things, and you collect data, and you see, is it working or not? Is it working better than the 0.2% that was there previously? Is it not better than 2.2%? I think data, you need some time to get some data. So I think, that's 3 or 4 months of time before you revisit that conversation, probably.
And I agree with you on that, because before we had, if we had the 0.2% tax, and we had that going for quite some time, which I thought was perfect, because it allowed us to kind of gauge how things were going. It wasn't a quick decision. It wasn't just a 30-day, 90-day type of deal. It was multiple months, and it allowed us to get a good gauge of how things were going. And so this increase, look, I'm with you on it. Governance is very important. It is to me as well in our validator, the LuncLive validator. And so we also respect the community's decision in regards to governance voting. And I think that now that we've raised it to 0.5, I think that, allowing time to go by for us to, once again, gauge how things are going, I think would be a good decision, because I want people to understand, and I want to get your opinion on this too, LuncBurn, when it comes to this project, when it comes to LunaClassic. I think in the beginning, a lot of people that when they invested in on the front end, they probably thought, oh my gosh, this thing was at $116 all-time high. It's now gone to 0.45 zeros. I'll be able to put in $200, and within 30 to 90 days, I'll be a multimillionaire. And I think we've kind of shaken that narrative. I think now that those people have come and gone, and now we are left with people who are long-term investors and are willing to walk this journey with us, like we've been doing the last year. So in your personal opinion, what are your personal goals for LunaClassic? Do you have a 1-year plan? Do you have a 5-year plan? What's something that you want to see happen in the next coming days, weeks, quarters, or years?
Well, I mean, I think that there's, like you said, there's tremendous potential, just because the blockchain itself, the technology that it's built upon, is incredibly fast. The transaction speed are, I could send you could be in England right now, and I can send you funds within, 30 seconds, and you'll receive them. Transaction speeds are incredibly quick. We have a very large community of investors. There's a lot of really great utilities. So I think all the building blocks are there, and the foundation of the technology is there. And now we're, running on a modern version of Cosmos SDK, which is in line with the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem. So now, I mean, the next step is getting the CosmWasm up to parity, which we're, you know, is just around the corner. So I think that, you know, following that, then you have some other things that we can start thinking about tackling. And one of the things that's important to me is having a regular release plan. That's one of the things that we're going to be talking about with the guys to see what our upgrade timing should look like in a calendar year. You know, we've had to do a lot of chain upgrades in the last few months, you know, working a lot of hours to get that done. Once we get up to date, we want to stay up to date. So that's going to be important to, you know, make that determination. Is it every 6 months? Is it every 9 months? Once a year for these different pieces? So we'll want to have a plan for that. Really, my goal is a full restoration of the ecosystem. I mean, I'd like to see us get out of the meme coin sort of territory into, you know, into a full revival. That'll take some time, but I mean, ultimately, I'd like to use my professional skill set to assist with making that happen, and that's kind of what we've been trying to do. You know, and the first stage is laying the foundation, and I think we're getting there with technology. And then, you know, then you start getting into things like, you know, do you look at USTC and things of that nature?
Right now, as we're sitting here talking, I'm looking at the charts, I'm looking at the data, and LunaClassic is coming in ranked at 80th. 80th still, after everything that's happened in the last year, the worst black swan crash event in crypto history, in my personal opinion, and after everything, still sitting at a $505 million market cap, like I said, ranking at number 80 all time on the ranking list. And what's really cool to me is that, again, we've not reached parity yet. We've not allowed other developers to come back and build their applications on this L1 blockchain. You know, and I want people to realize this as well, is that honestly, LunaClassic is up to date the cheapest, fastest L1 blockchain on the market. And that is what is so crazy to me, and people don't understand. And I get it. You know, people are going from one project to the next, or looking for things that can sometimes give them quick money, quick X's, as they say. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But in the end, and I always take this, you know, from the man himself's book, CZ Binance actually said not too long ago that meme coins can be risky and to trade them at your own risk, right? And that, you know, projects have been proven with historical data that ones that have use case and utility, in the long run, those are ones that genuinely outperform the rest, right? Because they're bringing something to the table. You're creating something that people use on a daily basis. And that's something else that I like about Binance's approach and C's approach, is that they create things that give people a reason to utilize them. You know, creating things that make people want to come over here and use it, user friendly, you know, giving them reasons to use your use case, whether it's a swap or a P2E game or something of that nature, or a decentralized stable coin for that matter. You mentioned earlier there, LuncBurnArmy, about USTC. Let's talk about that. I want to shift over to this next topic, which it really excited me that you guys were talking about. Now, once parity is reached and everything has been tested and good to go and finalized, let's talk about this USTC testnet that you guys have been talking about. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that we need to determine, you know, it's going to come up for vote soon, is the Q3 proposal, right? So by the end of Q2, I think we're on track for achieving all of our objectives. There's a couple of pieces that are kind of out of our control, like the on-ramp for the wallet. You know, those are run by other organizations, and they have to agree to use LunaClassic on those wallets. So those are beyond our control. We've had some very good initial positive conversations. Those are those are continuing and we're following up, but they have their own whole set of assessments that they have to do to, whether or not they're going to use their product, to use us as part of their product. However, everything else that's in our control, I think is right on track to being completed successfully. And, the upgrade to parity is really one of the biggest pieces, obviously, for this quarter. And once we're done that and we do some of the other research pieces, there's some database speed and efficiency research, some decisions we have to make for longer term, to keep the blockchain fast. There's some considerations for the size of the data that, all the transaction history that's there from, since the inception of the chain, really. And that's getting quite large. So we have to make some decisions on what we do with that. How long do we look at pruning it somewhere down the road? What do you do with it? I leave those kinds of technical things to the developers of the L1 team to help make those decisions. I just really say, okay, what are our choices? What are the benefits and risks of each? And then I present that to the community, right? So we have some decisions to make that way, but really there's this piece that's sort of sitting out there that I'd really like, and I'm talking again as a personal, I'd really like to tackle the USTC DPEG event. And I think that, the biggest feedback we received through in Q1 was that that's what people wanted. I think it's got one of the greatest abilities to restore the entire ecosystem. So it's something that would be great to attempt to tackle. And before we even think about tackling it, though, and one of the things that I sort of, when we discussed it and we thought about why we should set this up, is that there have been a lot of proposals, right? And the proposal that will get implemented and voted in and accepted, and nobody's tested any of these things to actually see what happens in the real world. And that's where I'd like to have a sandbox, so to speak, that we can take, the best ideas, we can take the, every idea, not every idea, but a lot of ideas that are put forth as proposals, and we can really, test them and see if they're feasible or not. And not only that, get some real world data and, make informed on good to the challenge.
I think that I couldn't agree more with that. A lot of people that have been here since the beginning, huge fans of UST, huge fans of USTC, and a lot of people have been saying for the longest time now, we need a repeg. We think that could be a game changer. Like you said, it would basically restore everything back to the way it was. I mean, that's what caused this whole thing to occur in the first place, was UST depegged, and it was not able to repeg, right? So if we're able to create an environment where, like you said, we can come up with ideas and test it in real time and, just see how it handles certain situations, I think that'll be very beneficial for us moving forward, because that's what gave Luna, right, back when this thing, before it crashed back in 2022, the stable coin, right, the decentralized finance aspect of the project is what took it to the next level. Not only was it fast and cutting edge and cheap gas fees, but the sole use case of the decentralized stable coin with UST, that's what took it to the promised land. So what a story indeed it would be if we created some type of environment that would give us the ability to attempt such a feat. And that would send, I'll just be honest with you, if we're successful with that, that's pretty much going to send shockwaves through the whole crypto space. Everybody in Cosmos would hear about it, and it would be on like Donkey Kong. But in order to do that, like you said, we would have to, come up with a proposal, which you have stated that you guys are working on, and will basically put it for the community's review and then brought to a vote after parity is reached. So I'm super excited that you guys continue to work on things that need to be prepared, and it shows your dedication. It shows you're here for the long run, and this stuff is not easy. I mean, here we are, 1 year in the books, right? Year one is in the books, right? That's our chapter. That's our full chapter of, post crash this community, these devs, your team, this is our first year, right? It's now over and
Well,
done.
it's our first 5 months are in the books for us, right?
Mhm.
I would say that I feel personally that this is the first 5 months of us having a really well-oiled machine, so to speak, from a development perspective, right? And I don't mean that knocking anyone else previously. It's just that when you have folks that are paid, right, when you pay them for their efforts, and they're expected to do a job, they tend to show up. Where before, I think it was more like a social kind of anyway, that's kind of, it wasn't. I feel like now we've got a real organized team that's working around the clock every day on the restoration of, and upgrade of technology, and trying to help with everything we can to set the framework so that the right ideas can be brought forth, and then we can implement them. I mean, we've got the guys to do it. We've got the talent. We just need the right approach brought forth, and then So I think, yeah, we're a year in. We're 5 months in with this team. I'm super happy with the work that they've done, and how hard they've worked. So, here's fingers crossed for another quarter. We I'd like to see us get out of the meme coin sort of territory into into a full revival. That'll take some time, but I mean, ultimately, I'd like to use my professional skill set to assist with making that happen, and that's kind of what we've been trying to do. And the first stage is laying the foundation, and I think we're getting there with technology. And then, then you start getting into things like, do you look at USTC and things of that nature?
Right now, as we're sitting here talking, I'm looking at the charts, I'm looking at the data, and LunaClassic is coming in ranked at 80th. 80th still, after everything that's happened in the last year, the worst black swan crash event in crypto history, in my personal opinion, and after everything, still sitting at a $505 million market cap, like I said, ranking at number 80 all time on the ranking list. And what's really cool to me is that, again, we've not reached parity yet. We've not allowed other developers to come back and build their applications on this L1 blockchain. And I want people to realize this as well, is that honestly, LunaClassic is up to date the cheapest, fastest L1 blockchain on the market. And that is what is so crazy to me, and people don't understand. And I get it. People are going from one project to the next, or looking for things that can sometimes give them quick money, quick X's, as they say. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But in the end, and I always take this, from the man himself's book, CZ Binance actually said not too long ago that meme coins can be risky, and to trade them at your own risk, right? And that, projects have been proven with historical data that ones that have use case and utility, in the long run, those are ones that genuinely outperform the rest, right? Because they're bringing something to the table. You're creating something that people use on a daily basis. And that's something else that I like about Binance's approach and C's approach, is that they create things that give people a reason to utilize them. Creating things that make people want to come over here and use it, user friendly, giving them reasons to use your use case, whether it's a swap or a P2E game or something of that nature, or a decentralized stable coin for that matter. You mentioned earlier there, LuncBurnArmy, about USTC. Let's talk about that. I want to shift over to this next topic, which it really excited me that you guys were talking about. Now, once parity is reached and everything has been tested and good to go and finalized, let's talk about this USTC testnet that you guys have been talking about. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that we need to determine, it's going to come up for vote soon, is the Q3 proposal, right? So by the end of Q2, I think we're on track for achieving all of our objectives. There's a couple of pieces that are kind of out of our control, like the on-ramp for the wallet. You know, those are run by other organizations, and they have to agree to use LunaClassic on those wallets. So those are beyond our control. We've had some very good initial positive conversations. Those are continuing, and we're following up, but they have their own whole set of assessments that they have to do to, you know, whether or not they're going to use their product, to use us as part of their product. However, everything else that's in our control, you know, I think is right on track to being completed successfully. And, you know, the upgrade to parity is really one of the biggest pieces, obviously, for this quarter. And once we're done that, and we do some of the other research pieces, there's some database speed and efficiency research, some decisions we have to make for longer term, you know, to keep the blockchain fast. There's some considerations for the size of the data, that, you know, all the transaction history that's there from you know, since the inception of the chain, really, and that's getting quite large. So we have to make some decisions on what we do with that. You know, how long do we look at pruning it somewhere down the road? You know, what do you do with it? I leave those kinds of technical things to the developers of the L1 team to help make those decisions. I just really say, okay, what are our choices? What are the benefits and risks of each? And then I present that to the community, right? So we have some decisions to make that way, but, you know, really there's this piece that's sort of sitting out there that I'd really like, and I'm talking again as a personal, you know, I'd really like to tackle the USTC DPEG event. And I think that, you know, the biggest feedback we received through in Q1 was that that's what people wanted. I think it's got one of the greatest abilities to restore the entire ecosystem. So it's something that would be great to attempt to tackle. And before we even think about tackling it, though, and one of the things that I sort of, when we discussed it and we thought about why we should set this up, is that there have been a lot of proposals, right? And the proposal that will get implemented and voted in and accepted, and nobody's tested any of these things to actually see what happens in the real world. And that's where I'd like to have a sandbox, so to speak, that we can take, you know, the best ideas, we can take the, you know, every idea, not every idea, but a lot of ideas that are put forth as proposals, and we can really, you know, test them and see if they're feasible or not. And not only that, get some real world data and, you know, make informed on a good to the challenge.
I think that I couldn't agree more with that. A lot of people that have been here since the beginning, you know, huge fans of UST, huge fans of USTC, and a lot of people have been saying for the longest time now, we need a repeg. We think that could be a game changer. Like you said, it would basically restore everything back to the way it was. I mean, that's what caused this whole thing to occur in the first place, was UST depegged, and it was not able to repeg, right? So if we're able to create an environment where, like you said, we can come up with ideas and test it in real time, and, you know, just see how it handles certain situations, I think that'll be very beneficial for us moving forward, because that's what gave Luna, right, back when this thing, before it crashed back in 2022, the stable coin, right, the decentralized finance aspect of the project is what took it to the next level. Not only was it fast and cutting edge and cheap gas fees, but the sole use case of the decentralized stable coin with UST, that's what took it to the promised land. So what a story indeed it would be if we created some type of environment that would give us the ability to attempt such a feat, you know, and that would send, I'll just be honest with you, if we're successful with that, that's pretty much going to send shockwaves through the whole crypto space. everybody in Cosmos would hear about it. It would be on like Donkey Kong. But in order to do that, like you said, we would have to, come up with a proposal, which you have stated that you guys are working on, and will basically put it for the community's review and then brought to a vote after parity is reached. So I'm super excited that you guys continue to work on things that need to be prepared. And it shows your dedication. It shows you're here for the long run. And this stuff is not easy. I mean, here we are, 1 year in the books, right? Year one is in the books, right? That's our chapter. That's our full chapter of, post crash. This community, these devs, your team, this is our first year, right? It's now over and
Well,
done.
it's our first 5 months are in the books for us, right? I would say that I feel personally that this is the first 5 months of us having a really well-oiled machine, so to speak, from a development perspective, right? And I don't mean that knocking anyone else previously. It's just that when you have folks that are paid, right, when you pay them for their efforts, and they're expected to do a job, they tend to show up, where before I think it was more like a social kind of anyway, that's kind of, it wasn't. I feel like now we've got a real organized team that's working around the clock every day on the restoration of, and upgrade of technology, and trying to help with everything we can to set the framework so that the right ideas can be brought forth, and then we can implement them. I mean, we've got the guys to do it. We've got the talent. We just need the right approach brought forth, and then So I think, yeah, we're a year in. We're 5 months in with this team. I'm super happy with the work that they've done, and how hard they've worked. So here's fingers crossed for another quarter. We kind of have to go through that every quarter, wondering whether or not the next quarter will be there. But that's hopefully we serve at the pleasure of the community, and that's what we'd like to do.
That's very refreshing to hear. And I agree with you. When you've got a team of developers who are compensated for their time and their talent, it changes things. And yes, before, nobody was paid. It was pretty much out of the kindness of their heart. And they just took it upon themselves to say, hey, we're going to help rebuild this. And yeah, that's the beautiful story about this project. Over time, everybody is growing, right? They're growing together. People are coming and they're going. People that used to be here are no longer with us, and it's never going to stop, right? So at the end of the day, I think the message people need to hear is that regardless of what has happened or is happening now, the journey still continues. And that's why I'm so bullish on this project. That's why I've been here since the crash, because, being able to watch that thing fall in real time, after seeing how large Luna was at the time being, I knew right from day one, I said, something is not right. Something is not right with this. This doesn't happen, right? That'd be like Ethereum falling for no reason, out of nowhere, right? Something depegging with it, or some issue, or something, some major project in the top 10 that just one day is here and then the next gone. So it didn't add up to me. So I knew right from that moment that, hey, look, we might be able to do something historic here and do something that's never been done. It's not going to be easy. Oh, no. But if we're able to get the right people in place, kind of like you said, put the right pieces of this puzzle together, then you can do something miraculous, something that is historic, something that could be talked about for years and years and years, and actually could be used as a poster model of what can occur when the right people put their minds together and work as a team and work as the people. Just how much you can accomplish. I mean, move mountains, basically, right? So, I mean, I'm very proud of where we are right now. I know people sometimes get discouraged with the price action, that it's not where it needs to be. But, people need to also remember we're still in a bear market. Like, we're not out of a bear market yet. We are still M1 as far as I'm concerned. We are not having fresh capital come into this market. It basically is the same money being recycled again and again from project to project. So, until that next bull run comes, the way that I see it is we have plenty of time, right? to repair things that need it, to make wonderful collaborations with other projects, to network heavily, to create bonds and friendships within this community and outside of the community. So we are exactly where we need to be, in my opinion, and I'm super excited about it. Now, let's transition again. So we saw here earlier from one of the L1 task force members, right? Vim was talking about how they had a breakthrough with the block entropy blockchain. So let's talk about that a little bit for people who aren't aware of what that is, LuncBurn. Can you kind of explain to people, first-time listeners who have never heard about block entropy, talk about its use case, what it's going to be designed for, and bring us up to speed on it?
Yeah, so this is Ed's AI sidechain. So basically, it's the first time AI has been integrated with a blockchain, and it runs as a sidechain when it's going to be fully developed. It'll be a sidechain for LunaClassic, and right now he set it up in the testnet environment. So that you can test and get a feel for how your how the tool is going to work. But basically, it's distributed computing power that allows for machine learning to take place, and it's super cool. It's super exciting. I hope a lot of people will create a lot of fun artwork with it. I can see it already happening in the community. I posted not too long ago some images that I was making for fun, it's just great. I think it's just in its infancy, and it's only got the potential to grow. I spent a little bit of time with the voice generator, had some fun with that. So Ed was having us, take a look at it. It's basically ready to go for him to launch. But we had a sneak peek into it, and we couldn't resist. It's like that, burning a hole in your pocket. You kind of can't resist sharing a little bit, right?
Right. And I've seen examples of that on social media, on Twitter. You guys showing sneak peeks. I love the dogs and the cats. It's like Vin showed the cat first, and you come on the back end there with the dogs to show love to both of them. So I thought that was pretty funny. But let's talk about the use case of that as well, because people also need to realize that in order to utilize this AI machine learning blockchain, there's something that you have to burn, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right now to get the testnet tokens, you have to burn LunaClassic. And what you do is you burn whichever amount you'd like, and you submit your transaction hash, and then you'll receive block entropy testnet tokens. So that's kind of a good fun way to get people to use it, for Ed to get some real world data. What's the load going to be like on the validator set that is working there, to see how that's all going to work, and then to get some performance data and feedback from users. I gave him some. I created some images that took a little longer to produce. That some came up really fast, some took a little bit longer. I try to break these things when I test, but it's super cool and a lot of fun. So I think it's going to be a really exciting product to showcase that we have as part of our ecosystem, right? And ultimately, Ed is looking how this is going to drive further rewards for LunaClassic validators and delegators once we achieve, once he gets to a full product launch.
It's very exciting. I was going back looking on Ed's Twitter profile there when he first, back on April 29th, gave the first sneak peek of the white paper, for the block entropy blockchain. And I mean, thousands of likes, thousands of retweets, 351,000 people saw the tweet. So it definitely caught the attention to a massive amount of people within the crypto community. And just having that as another feature, right, to just prove to the market this thing is not dead, right? What is dead may never die, right? And showing people that there are still individuals here that continue to rebuild, continue to repair, and continue to create, right, after the crash, that speaks volume in my eyes. And to me, it's ultra bullish because right now with the things that are going on, we see a lot of these projects that are coming out, and they, all of a sudden we have meme coins popping up again. It's that meme coin summertime, projects pumping and dumping. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? And in the end, we want to put out a product that's going to attract those long-time investors, because a lot of people, when they make their gains, say they are the degens, right? They like to, go gamble at the online casino, if you will. When they make those gains, they don't want to take it all out into fiat. No, nasty fiat, blah. No, they want to keep that on the blockchain, and they want to bankroll that again or put it someplace where they think it has value and a potential to grow nicely. And the way that I tell people is this, and I've made the tweet before. Look, Bert, I don't know if you've seen it or not. When in the next bull run, I truly believe that Lunk will be here and people's meme coins will not. Because CZ Binance said it best himself, is that meme coins are risky. They're tricky, right? Things that don't have a use case or a white paper or a website, for God's sake. Those really don't have a lot of features that are going to make people want to stay and hold that bag. It's pretty much going to be a here today, gone tomorrow sort of deal. But when you have a lovely project like Lunk, that's literally been through the ringer, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, LuncBurnArmy, I don't know of any other project that's been through the ringer like Lunk has and is still around, kicking, operating, to talk about it, right? I just don't see it out there.
Well, and with over a $500 million market cap, right? So that's to me, that speaks volumes of the staying power that's there. And like I said, the underlying technology is fantastic. One of the things that that's I find exciting personally, just as an investor, is seeing the success of people's projects that they're launching. There's a lot of NFT projects that have launched that have been very successful. Terra Poker is coming over. I believe they're launching tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. There's Garuda Universe has been building some play to earn games and play to burn type games that look, like the Nintendo games we used to play back in the day, right? So there's a lot of building happening, and from my observation, again, even as an individual, it looks like there's a lot of use happening here. So I think all those things are positives, and we just, keep building on that, I think, and make sure that the technology is there to support those folks, make sure that we can give them the support they need to continue to build. And I think that those are all good things, and we just have to keep going in that direction.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I've been witnessing that myself, and that just proves to me that we still have a thriving ecosystem here. I know people like to say that we have no use case, we're a meme coin, and that's their personal opinion. But, to me, when I see a crypto project that continues to have people launch products on it, that proves to me that there's life there. You've got the Lunk Legendary NFTs, you've got the Luna Sapiens, you've got the Oracle NFTs, you've got L1, you've got all these wonderful people that are still here and launching and sticking around and saying to the masses, look, we see potential here. We see value here. We see a lovely community here, and we're staying. And yes, we did have Terra Poker on not too long ago. And audience members, if you would go view that and check them out, because that right there proves to me that even builders that left still have their eyes on LunaClassic. We are making enough noise, and we're doing enough moves to make them turn that head when they thought it was dead and go, well, wait just a second here. Maybe it's not. Maybe they have a chance, and maybe we should come back and see what happens. And that's the wonderful thing that I've witnessed with this community, LuncBurnArmy, is that even with some of these NFT projects, they're selling out, right? The community is coming together and supporting people that launch these projects because they love it. We have a wonderful community here. They're very supportive. And when they find out, projects coming over, obviously when they do their homework and there's been a little bit of digging to make sure everything is nice and safe, they're all in and they'll support it to the end because they're very loyal. I will say that about the LunaClassic community. They are very loyal with projects who are coming to them in their time of need. And right now we still are. We're welcoming people coming back. We want them to build on this blockchain. It has a wonderful, wonderful community that would, has open arms, like, come on, everybody, the door is open, right? Everybody will be welcome. And that's something else too, LuncBurnArmy, that you and I have discussed in the past, is that once parity is reached, I think it'd be cool to have a certain team of individuals who are kind of like in charge of going out and starting those conversations with projects in the rest of Cosmos, meeting with CEOs, meeting with lead developers, and just starting that conversation like, hey, have you guys considered coming back to the LunaClassic blockchain? We'd love to have a conversation with you. I think that would be a great second step once parity is reached, because what that does is that proves to the masses and proves to other people that, hey, like we said, we're open for business. Let's chat, let's talk some turkey here, right? There's a lot of opportunity for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an immensely important piece of the equation that we need to have. We need to be, all of the folks that are in the Cosmos ecosystem, all the DApps that are there, we really need to provide incentives and encourage them. Say, hey, we've got this thriving, active community. We've got NFT projects, like you said, that are minting out. We have other apps that have come over that had previously left. Come join us. We'll support you. And I mean, if we really think about it, the DApps, what they're interested in are communities that will support them, right? They're ultimately there in business, and they're looking for thriving communities to be a part of. And if we can show that we're a fun community, that will support their projects, then there's a good chance that we might find more that are interested in coming. And the more of those we have, I mean, it's like a snowball, right? The more folks that you have in, and we expand the tent, we get more of a user base. Then the more transactions you have, then the burn rate and deflationary rate that we have increases. And as that happens, the supply decreases. We're currently burning in, anywhere from, I was just looking at it not too long ago. We're averaging just in the past week, 57 million, 67 million, 90 million, 303 million, 500 million a day. 500 million to a billion a day isn't, especially if you get into a bull market and you get a lot more projects, it's not impossible, right? And when you start getting to those types of numbers, that supply becomes a lot more deflationary quicker. So that's my interest to see. I personally would like to see volume increase a lot, and the velocity of funds transferring around, and in use increase. And I think we could see some real positive traction on the supply starting to decrease then. And of course, USTC helps a lot with that too, right? If we can re-enable that mint burn mechanism at some point, that would help us out greatly.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the stats right now. Just in the last 7 days, we've burned, like you said, we burned 1.5 billion. I mean, that's tremendous, right? And like I said, we've only been 1 year in the books. Okay. And so even if we continue at the pace we're going, and I'm a long-term investor, and I know sometimes it kind of freaks people out because I start talking in years. They're like, ooh, years, diamond hand. I don't have years. Come on, my G. I got to do this in 3 weeks. Let's make something happen. I'm not that kind of guy. I really do look at long-term investing, right? 3, 5, 10 years down the road, because look at Bitcoin, for example. Look at BNB. Look at Ethereum, right? Did they reach all of their success in 1 year? Of course not, right? Bitcoin is still trying to make a name for itself, and it's been going strong now a decade plus. BNB, right? The Binance Smart Chain coin. It took 4 years. Same thing with Ethereum, 4 years plus to gain the amount of traction and respect, if you will, in the crypto world. And so I know people don't like to hear that, LuncBurnArmy, but you have to start looking at it as a long-term play. And like you said, we reach parity. We start getting the attention of former builders, new builders to come back. They bring their applications. They start burning themselves. We still have the full support of Binance, who is still burning on their end. Say we have this USTC test net where we start thinking of ways to do a repeg event of USTC. Say that is successful. Folks, if that's successful, it's all she wrote, because that would be like a hyper burn on steroids in conjunction with all of the DApps, in conjunction with Binance's burns. I mean, what more could you want than bringing the number one use case that took Lunk to the promised land, bringing that back? And
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't happen overnight, right? Like
of course not.
It's all dependent on volume, and it's all dependent on transactions, and people using the chain. So all of those things are very important, but we can build the mechanism, right? We can build a way that we can, the first thing that I sit there and think is, well, how can we make this? It's already deflationary. Is there a way we can increase that? Is there a way that, we can make a stable coin that has such strong capital controls that it won't have another depeg happen? So those are all types of things that we need to think about, and as collectively as a community, as many good thinkers as we can bring to the table, outside professionals, that if we can bring some folks in to help us with this, it's a big problem to solve. But I'm a big believer in like incremental development and taking small steps towards that goal. And I think we test those ideas first, we build upon them. And I mean, we have to start, right? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we need to start moving forward on that path. It's been too long already, in my opinion. And, I think we need to do it in a very safe way to make sure that we don't, we want to make sure that you can never end up in another death spiral again, no matter what. So that has to be built into this. But aside from that, I think, we need to start making some progress.
I agree. And like you said, having an ability to have a mechanism to just test that, right? To just test ways of doing a repeg event of USTC and throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it to ensure its safety and security. I think that's super bullish. And I think just word of that coming out to say to the market, hey, look, you guys remember Luna, right? You remember USD? Well, LunaClassic is still alive. And guess what? Now they've created a mechanism to work on trying to repeg USTC. We start putting information out like that, that's definitely going to grab the attention of everybody in crypto. I don't care who you are. Everybody around the world, especially in the crypto world, knows about the depeg of UST. They know about the depeg of Luna from Grace, right? Everybody knows about that. So we start putting out, word that, hey, guys, look, we as a community, we're still going strong. We're pumping this thing. Let's go. We're going to put out a test net to get a repeg of some sort to USTC. That's going to cause some hype. That's going to cause some excitement. But like you said, it's all in stages, because what we don't want is we don't want to create just another pump and dump. We don't want to create something that's not going to be long lasting and have longevity. We want to create something that proves to the market that we're here for the long run, right? And we're not going anywhere. And just to show them, look, a lot of people promise you a lot of things in cryptocurrency, and they like to talk, but we actually walk the walk, right? And that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And plus just the story in and of itself, my goodness, I'm with you on it, man. If we're able to do all these things, somebody just needs to go ahead and knock on Netflix's door and say, hey, look, we got a story for you if you want to go ahead and make a series about it, because it would be historic. It really would, because never has a project to that magnitude so high, right? So large, fall from that high on the blockchain ranking list down to the current state and come back. I mean, I've never seen it before. I never have, right? And so to be able to accomplish something like that would definitely etch our name in the history books. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, for all time.
I think so, and I think people love a comeback story, right? And like the reality is that we have the fundamental technology, and we have the community, and we have a lot of things going in our favor. So it's just finding the right way to do things safely, and making sure that we can implement it in such a way to protect people. And it's probably not something that you can do overnight, right? You need to slowly build up this reserve, right? But the point is to get started, and I want to take that swap burn mechanism in the test environment, pull it apart inside out, and understand every single piece of it, how it ticks, and really put it through its paces, and create a repeg with ideal market conditions, create a repeg slowly using some of the proposals that have been brought forward of looking at pegging to 1 cent, 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, this sort of idea. What type of reserve mechanism do you have that you can have it over collateralized and have safety there in the case that, maybe Do Kwon had it 80% right. Maybe his mistake was just Bitcoin, because it fluctuated too much in value. So these are all the questions that we have to ask. And I think that the important thing is to start asking those questions, and then to put them to real world test, and then to see what the outcomes are, and then build on each iteration.
I love it. Just having a conversation about that just gets me excited. And, that's the beauty of cryptocurrency. That's what people are here for. They're searching. They are looking for that next gem. How many times have we seen that on social media? Show me that 1000x gem. Show me your gems, right? Everybody's a treasure hunter out here, right? But sometimes people fail to realize what they hold in their wallets and the opportunities that they have, because sometimes they get too caught up on the short term, right? The 1 month, the 3 month, and they're not focusing quarters down the road, years down the road. I mean, I've had conversations like LuncBurnArmy with people that bought Bitcoin at 25 cents, and when it got to 50 cents, they freaked and they sold it all, right? So, and I know it's crazy, right? Same thing with people that bought Dogecoin when it first came out, bought SHIB when it first came out, but they sold too early. And the crazy part is, people that I have these conversations with, they never get over it, ever, right? Never, ever, ever. I mean, the gentleman that sold his Bitcoin for 50 cents not too long ago, he told my father, actually, he said, look, there's not a day that goes by that at some point in time in my day, I literally say to myself, if I had just held my Bitcoin, I would be a billionaire. I would be a billionaire with a B, not an M for a millionaire, a billionaire. And that's the crazy thing about this wonderful world we live in now. Nothing is for certain. Nothing is guaranteed. Nobody has a clue. They really don't. They may claim that they do, but they don't have a crystal ball. They never know if something truly is dead or if something's never going to have a chance. They don't know. And so the people that realize this, and they invest in people and in teams that work well with one another, that have chemistry, there's good synergy there, and they jive with one another, and they're all bullish on what they're trying to achieve. Well, that's just trickled down, policy, right? If they're bullish, if they're determined, if they're passionate, so will your people be, right? They're going to be on your side. And that's what we have here with LunaClassic. And that's what I tell people all the time in direct messages. Why are you doing this? Why are you wasting your time? Why don't you go somewhere else? Why would I leave? Why? Honestly, right? And a lot of these people too, LuncBurnArmy, that I talk to, they're not informed. They have no clue what's going on over here. All they look at is the chart and say, oh, it's 99% down, right? It went from $116 down to multiple zeros. There's nothing going on. No. That's why we have the LunaClassic network. That's why we have LuncLiveNews. our sole mission and our goal is to properly inform the whole community, the whole community of LunaClassic, but the whole community of crypto about all things going on with Lunk. And that's why we're here. And we enjoy it. We really do. It's a lot of fun. We get to meet people from all over the world, great developers, great project team members, and it's fantastic. And LuncBurnArmy, you're going to have to come back on the show again because we're really excited to have you on, because we'd love to have you or another team member of the L1 Task Force or the whole team, right? You can bring the whole gang with you if you want. We'd love to have you back on in the future to talk about all things that you guys are doing, because it's always good to do that, to let people know what's going on. And I know you guys have been super busy here lately, not really been on social media, but that just proves that you're focused on one thing and one thing only. And that's working. That's deving, right? Deving. That's what people like to see. So I'm very excited to see you guys doing that. You have
Yeah,
any other information for us on this?
it's been an almost around the clock job, right? And it's very important. That's what's been required, and that's what's been done. And I think, one thing I just wanted to add is, I really appreciate what you guys are doing, getting the word out to the community and providing all the latest up-to-date information. I mean, one of the things to mention is that, we've got the tried and true things that we've thought of, right? These are the things we've got, USTC. We know that can help the environment. We've got an already deflationary environment, and we know that more people coming and using DApps helps. We know that reaching parity helps. We've known these things for some time. What I find really exciting, though, are the things that, like this block entropy and like some of these other DApps, right, that show up out of nowhere and they start burning billions of Lunk.
Right.
Who would have thought that we would have an AI-driven, blockchain integration with the blockchain, right? Something that is able to compete with potentially, with other AI products out there for machine learning, and that's using a distributed computing model. Who would have thought of that 2-3 months ago? Right.
Oh, yeah.
So the things that we haven't even really seen yet, but we're seeing more and more projects. So that's what gets me excited about it.
I agree. And, it's very cool to see these kind of things happening. It just proves that the future is super, super bright for this community, for this project. I mean, it gets me excited, man. I mean, I really do. I see it like an opportunity of a lifetime, because when you're looking out here at other projects, right, it's a very simple concept. You're looking for number one, you're looking for a good team. Number one, right? We got that. Hands down. We got a great team of developers, previous, current. I mean, guys that do nothing but just work their guts out trying to get things back online, to recover them, repair them. So we've got that. Check that off the list, right? But just creating things that people will use on a daily basis, right? Creating something that will make traders want to trade it, people to hold it, to buy and sell it. That is something that every project out there is trying to create. And I think with just some of the things that you just mentioned, with this AI chain being competitive, I mean, that right there with ChatGPT and all these mechanisms, word is starting to get out, that it is going to be the future. I mean, we've had Elon Musk talk about that. I mean, it's mainstream, right? It's mainstream now. And we all thought the Terminator movies were just fiction, right? So it's definitely starting to become a reality. And that's what's so cool about cryptocurrency, is it is a market of survival of the fittest. It is a competition, right? And you've constantly got to come out here every single day and show people that, hey, look, we've got a hot ticket item. We've got a great product over here. You want to be in cryptocurrency? Hey, come over here, right? And look at the upside. Here's something else too I want to say too, LuncBurnArmy, is that, a lot of people, they're starting to kind of feel the heat a little bit with this bear market, right? Projects that used to be a little bit higher on the rankings list, they've kind of had a little bit of a downturn. Projects that people thought were going to go super parabolic have now started to drop because, like we always say, the hype eventually will die. Whales will take profits, and it just takes one whale to cause a cascading effect. Never fails to happen. And the ones who are building in the bear, have fun in the bull, right? And that's another thing about LunaClassic. We've already been on the bottom. We've experienced it. We've experienced the big mega rig candles. We've experienced all the publicity that was negative on mainstream media. We've been through that, but guess what? We're still here and we're still standing while other people are just experiencing that for the first time and it's not going so well. So when people hear about, hey, you check out LunaClassic, they probably want to start paying attention to it because I'm telling you, this project's got something that others don't. It's got people that believe, and it's got hardworking individuals that sacrifice by the daily, and they're going towards one goal, and that's to recover this blockchain. It's going super well. LuncBurnArmy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great. I appreciate you coming on and giving us all these wonderful updates about what the L1 Task Force is doing. Before we close out here, do you have any other information you think our audience needs to hear?
No, I mean, I just want to say thanks for having me, and let's keep building and bring this ecosystem back stronger than it was before. Imagine the story that we would be able to tell. So that's really what the goal is here. We're going to get to parity in a couple of weeks. We aim to finish the quarter strong, and then we'll put up a new Q3 proposal shortly. And we'll be there in Q3 continuing to work. So thanks again for having me.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first on LuncLiveNews on the LunaClassic Network. The L1 Task Force Project Manager, LuncBurnArmy. Please go give him a follow on Twitter. That's at LuncBurnArmy on Twitter. Make sure you give a follow with him and turn your notification bells on so you can get all the latest up-to-date information involving the LunaClassic blockchain. Again, LuncBurnArmy, thank you so much for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. We hope to have you back on soon. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our program for this evening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, stay classic. Thank you, everyone. And that's all for today, folks. We welcome you to join us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 midnight UTC, from us at LuncLiveNews Studio. We wish you all a happy evening and a great start to your weekend. And remember, stay classic.